Introduction. We all make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes can lead to circumstances and troubles that seem very grim. Perhaps you have done the wrong thing, made the wrong choice, did what you knew you shouldn't do, and now you're suffering the consequences of those mistakes. You may feel trapped, and the solutions for your problems can seem even worse than the problems themselves. If this is the situation you are in today, I have wonderful news for you. God can turn your mistakes into miracles. It doesn't matter if the circumstances seem fixed, unalterably negative, and you are powerless to do anything about them. God can turn your situation around and totally change things. He can turn the biggest mistake of your life into your greatest miracle. You say, "But you don't know the mistakes I've made. You don't know how bad my situation is." No, I don't. But I do know that even if your situation looks impossible, God can still turn it around. As I will show you in this audiobook, God can turn a curse into a blessing. No matter how distressed and depressed you may feel today, I pray you will see there is a way out. God can turn your mistake into a miracle. Can God fix my mistakes? When you make a mistake, it is easy to feel trapped by that mistake. You may feel like you are living under a curse with no way to get out from its power. But with God, there is always a way out. And in Numbers chapters 22 through 24, we see God's power to turn a curse into a blessing through the story of Balak, the king of Moab. The children of Israel were on their journey from Egyptian captivity to the Promised Land. When King Balak heard they were headed his way, he was afraid. So he hired Balaam the prophet to secretly curse the Israelites. Balaam accepted the king's offer and came to curse Israel. But every time he opened his mouth to curse them, out came a blessing. God turned Balaam's curse into a blessing. Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 5 says, "Nevertheless, the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam, but the Lord your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God loves you." God can turn curses into blessings. It doesn't depend on our goodness or our ability, but upon the goodness and ability of God. He can turn our mistakes into miracles. Many years ago, my dad cleaned out his garage. Believe me, it was a major challenge. Things had accumulated in that space for a number of years, and many of them were treasures from my own distant childhood. In all that stuff, I found my rock collection, as well as a bunch of deflated basketballs and footballs, old baseball bats, baseballs without the covers on them, all kinds of things. One of the forgotten little treasures I found hidden away was a toy called the Strange Change Machine. It was still in perfect condition. Everything was intact. I took it with me because I wanted to show it to my children, who at that time were the target audience for a toy like this. But the funny thing is that I ended up playing with the toy for about 2 hours. The Strange Change Machine came with a bunch of little plastic squares that are so hard you can't bend or break them. You begin by plugging the machine in to heat it up. After waiting several minutes, you drop one of the plastic squares into a special chamber located on top of the machine. In just a few moments, the plastic square starts to evolve into something else. It begins to change shape, and before you know it, you've got a bird, a dinosaur, or some other animal. It's an amazing little toy. 1 minute, there is just a hard square of plastic. You can't see any lines or shapes on it. The square looks totally unalterable, fixed. You can't imagine that it would be anything other than a plastic square. But when you put it in the machine and apply a little heat, it's totally transformed. It becomes something new and different. That's the way God can work in your situation. At present, things seem hopeless and unchangeable. But if you will turn everything over to God, He can turn it all around and create something good from it.